You're listening to Traumedy, the podcast that helps you take your pain and play with it. I'm Nancy Norton. I am a comedian, former nurse, and a keynote speaker about the power of humor. And this episode was recorded in Branson at the Branson Comedy Factory, and it's recorded on my laptop, so the quality is a little ambient, I would say. There's a little bit of background noise, people coming in and out of the comedy club, getting it ready for the show. So just know there might be a little bit of artifact sounds, and it's worth it because this guest has been through the ringer, and I cannot believe what a survivor refuses to quit and also has figured out how to thrive.
And I'm like, okay, all this trauma and all these things and the abuse that you've taken from, even when I was a kid, having things done to a child that shouldn't be happening. I take all these things through these foster homes and the people that hurt me and even the people that adopted me and hurt me. I'm like, you can't beat me. You cannot destroy me. I'm not going to be an ostrich. I'm not sticking my head in the ground. I'm here. And as long as my voice works, I'm here.
This guy is incredible. This episode blows my mind. I mean, it definitely puts a lot of my stuff in perspective, which is helpful. Like, okay, listen, if this guy can get through it, I can get through it. So that's what I really hope you take away from this episode. And one of the most kind of understated storytellers, very soft-spoken, but maybe that's the way it is when you have some really intense trauma. You kind of try to keep calm. Please share Traumedy with a friend who may need to know they are not alone. So here we go. Hey, I want to let you know, oh yes, if you want to come to a comedy show with old Nance, please go on my website, nancynorton.tv, click on the upcoming shows. Have we launched my store yet? If you go to my Linktree, Nancy Norton Linktree, there is a store there. My Crybaby Badass shirts are online. So if you want to get a Crybaby Badass Luminary shirt, if you haven't heard the story, it's just thank you, psychedelic trauma therapy, because I had to grieve, cry, and then see myself in the mirror. What? Luminary. And every now and then, badass. And you can too. All right, enjoy this episode. I'll see you on the other side. Welcome to Traumedy. My guest this week coming to you live from Branson Comedy Factory inside Branson Columns. This is the Ozark version of Traumedy. My guest is an actor, he's a writer, he's a comedian, he has served in 3 branches of the military, and is a celebrity auctioneer. Please welcome Will C.
Yay, thank you for having me, Nancy. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Also, you're an adoptee.
I am.
And that's one of the things, that's where we started bonding a little bit, because you must have seen my bio.
I saw that you had adopted your son, and reason, season, lifetime. I'm a firm believer in that, Nancy. So people come to your life for a reason, they stay for a season, they may stay for a lifetime. And so when I was reading your profile and your bio, and it struck me that the way I took and the way I read your bio, it's like the love was already there before you even laid eyes on this child.
For sure, absolutely.
And that touched I'm like, I have to speak to this lady. I have to speak to her. So.
And because your journey was different, and you came up in a foster system,
I did.
And your parents that adopted you, and I don't know about the parents who relinquished you or lost you, but I mean, you had a different experience than my son, who was in an orphanage. Well, you were in an orphanage.
I was. So I'll give you the condensed version. I just had a really young mother that had my sister at a very young age. She's 2 years older than me. Then I came along 2 years later. Just a scenario of being young. I think her parents kicked her out, and now she's on her own. She married the guy, but then he ended up with a lady across the street. I ended up with a half brother. I'm 3 days older than. Now my mom is basically 17 years old with 2 kids, no high school education. The man she thought, whatever, he leaves her. She lost it. Mentally, she lost it. And she walked out of her where we lived, locked the door, and left me and my sister to die.
Oh.
Her every intention was to get her life back and live her rest of her teenage years and not have 2 kids. The babysitter, after 2 weeks, called the police trying to figure out where we were. KCPD busted the door open. They did a whole news thing on it. Found me and my sister. I was 6 months old. My sister was 2.5. My sister had wrapped me in a newspaper for a diaper. It's the best she could do at 2.5. Had to be surgically removed from me because it was embedded with, you know.
And how long you were there? 2 weeks?
2 weeks. My sister at 2.5, anything she could reach is what she did. She chewed up cat food and spit it in my mouth. She sucked toilet water and spit it in my mouth and kept me alive. When they finally found us, I was dehydrated. I had lice and scabies and barely alive. I was rushed to the Children's Hospital in Kansas City. I stayed there for 6 months. Never thought that I would live, but I did. My sister got put into an orphanage, finally reunited with my sister, but we...
If people could see my face right now, I'm blown away. I mean, some of the stuff you've already told me has blown my mind. Like, wow, I had no idea you went through all of that.
Mess. So we bumped foster homes and foster care and the orphanage system for basically from 1970 to 1976. Finally adopted. The people that came
That's
to adopt.
6 years. You said 1970. You talk so fast, and I want to just make sure. No. It's good that I like talking fast, but I also want to make sure I understood. You said from 70 to 76, you were in the foster system.
In the foster care.
In and out of
foster homes and orphanages. You'd go where they thought that maybe families would come. They'd dress you up and show you like pound puppies, and hopefully somebody would pick you up and pet you and play with you. But
God.
I think we came with a lot of baggage. And we do. I mean, there is emotional trauma there. We finally, the family that came to adopt, they wanted a daughter. They already had a son. They wanted a daughter and looked like the perfect family. But at that time, my sister's like, I'm not going anywhere without my brother. So
God,
we get adopted. Kind of poor, little rednecky, kind of out in the country outside of Kansas City, Missouri. My mom worked for TWA. My dad drove gasoline around to farmers for United Co-op, and we farmed and kind of that lifestyle. And so I come from being born in the city to, now I'm in this, this country lifestyle, and
also still not getting your emotional needs. Not only are you not getting your emotional needs met, you're getting kind of kicked. Well,
then we realized these people that adopted
they didn't really want you. You didn't feel wanted because
from the get-go. I would, and here, left-handed, and I don't know, somewhere around. Convinced my father that left-handed people might be a little, and they are. I hate that word, but my dad used it. They might be a little retarded, honestly. And so I was made to sit on my left hand. I had to learn how to write with my right.
They actually thought that. I mean, back in the medieval times, they thought it was evil.
So I don't.
So you know how they built the
right.
the spires of the castles going so that. A guy would have to attack a castle using his left hand because nobody was allowed to use the left hand as a swordsman.
I don't know what my dad was thinking.
Actually, it's like you're left and right brained, which means you are very analytical, but you're also very creative. Usually,
yes,
is what that means. That's why a lot of good engineers are that way. And you're a problem.
Really smart,
dude. Obviously you're very smart. So you were shamed for your left-handedness as well, on top of everything else.
Right.
I'm sorry I interrupted, but that just upset me.
It's just a kind of a weird upbringing, I think, because not really wanted, so not really loved, and it always trying to prove something because the son they had epilepsy and medical problems, and so here's this kid, and I'm like, but I'm chubby, I've got a lazy eye.
Oh, I didn't know you also had a lazy eye. I don't see yours.
Yeah, so but I was pushed into sports. I got put on a wrestling mat as soon as I got adopted. But I was bullied. I was picked on a lot. Everything I had to do had to be the best. So as a chubby kid, if I played baseball, I either had to hit a home run or I struck out. There's no in between because I'm too fat to run the bases. You're going to tag me out, so I'm going for the fence on everything. And so there's this failure. But wrestling for me that's a one-man sport. I had to figure out me. And so that was a good sport for me. But I still had kids in the neighborhood that bullied me because of the glasses, being adopted. They always had the jokes. It was like, knock, knock, who's there? Not your family. I'd get all that kind of stuff. Just mean kids, and I got bullied a lot. And so my dad, they put me in martial arts. I got put into Taekwondo when I was 8. And then I just, between the wrestling and football and baseball and the things I played, that was my life.
That became your identity?
It did.
And did it give you a sense of confidence at some point, or
I always felt like I was failing my father because he's never told me he loved me. Neither one of them.
To this day?
No, to this day. The closest thing I really get is like if my dad and my mom went to a movie and they saw me and I'd get a phone call.
Yeah, you're in movies, you're an accomplished comedian, and then you've served 3 branches of the military,
So
and they still aren't like, we are so proud of you.
And the create, it's like I'm trying not to run bits by you because I don't want this interview.
Oh
to
no,
be
but
like
actually we do want to talk about the. Go ahead.
But true story. I joined the military when I was 17. I just needed to get out. I wanted to leave the small town. My parents signed me into the Air Force. I was 17 years old, and I went off my summer before my senior year. I went to basic training, and so. It's like I thought my dad would show up, and that was going to be the "I'm proud of you" moment. I always saw my dad's Army picture in the hallway, but my dad never talked about it. My dad's a Korean vet, and he just, I guess, just don't talk about it. So we never really mentioned the military. But I thought, here we are at the airport, and it's going to be that "I love you." My dad's like, "Well, you better not screw up, boy, because me and your mom are going to knock the wall out between your room and our room. They're going to make one big bedroom, so you don't really have a bedroom to come home to." I thought I was joking. I came home and leave, and my room's gone.
You have there's no room in the inn.
So I wake up spooning with my parents, whatever. I mean, but
there
no.
you go. I love that you're going to drop in with your bits because that's what traumedy is. It's like, how do you take that pain and turn it into something? And there you go.
It's crazy because I noticed throughout my life, because being the chubby kid, being this whatever, comedy became, it was my safety net. It was my security blanket. If you made fun of me, I got to where, I would try to say whatever you were going to say about me first.
Kind of Eminem.
Yes, exactly. So it's like
Rick Bryan taught me that. Eminem.
I know I'm fat. I know I'm blind. I know I have a reading comprehension problem. I know I'm dyslexic. All these things that I had growing up, it got to where I became the class clown. So now it's like I'm in trouble at home because my dad would stand over me. He's like, "Oh, look at me, I'm a jackass." You think, but and it's like, so it's like the fear of that. But at the same time, I thought I was popular now because kids laughed, but they're laughing at me. And so it's like.
So you were making yourself the butt of all the jokes.
I was.
But that was the. I got to tell you, I learned how to roast other people. Like that was my thing, and in a way, I think that's more evolved though. It's just like, okay, I'll throw myself under the bus. So what age were you when you started using humor to deflect or to absorb or to empower yourself?
Junior high, like 8th grade,
Yeah.
I started kind of watching Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I grew up kind of like it was like Hee Haw, and I'd watch Carol Burnett, and I'm like, oh God, I wanted to be like Tim Conway, and I'm like, these guys are amazing, and so, but I would start like when I started watching Saturday Night Live, I really got hooked on Dana Carvey doing his voice impressions, and Eddie Murphy, and I got a hold. Like this family that adopted me was very religious. But kind of hypocritically religious. But when I finally,
as so many people are, can I just say, I'm just not a big fan of religion in general because it just feels like it makes you be less. You're human. Like, can we just be human?
I can't stand organized religion. But what I can do is I can have faith. I can have faith in my higher power and what I choose to believe in.
Yeah.
And when I found that nobody can tell you what to believe or not to believe, but I can't wrap my brain around living off a book that's missing chapters, or I can't stand people that quote Bible verses to me with the one that fits their life. But if you ask them what the next verse is, they can't tell you, and that drives me insane. I'm like
cherry picking.
So yeah, and so growing up, kind of be pushed at that direction. I'm like, I don't know. So the voice impressions, I started doing that. So it's like, and I got hooked on Robin Leach, and so
Did you get some albums, comedy albums?
So I got a hold of a Red Fox album, which is the dirtiest thing I'd ever heard in my life. And I'm like, oh my God, people talk like this? Well, then I got into Richard Pryor, and I'm like, I was like so enthralled because he wasn't allowed to go into the main clubs. He had to work his stuff out in these back alley clubs. So when he came out with Live on Sunset, people thought, wow, but he'd been working that stuff out in these back rooms, and like, so that it was brilliant, and it's like, so I'm following all this, and it's like, okay, I was always like in all the theater productions, and I always got the funny part, and there's times where, because I'm just dyslexic, I would have to improv, and I would forget my lines, and I would just make stuff up on the spot.
Oh God,
and
I have dyslexia too, but so you
be like, but the other actors on stage like, what is he doing? I was Billy. They're like, Billy just took over the whole, what's going on? But I could come back around to the line and it would say, and say, so I would do stuff like that, and it's just, I'd walk down, I'm Robin Leach with Lifestyle of Rich and Famous, with champagne wishes and caviar dreams, and I would just do this over, just trying to be the funny guy. And so, it was crazy, like, I went through the military, and comedy was always there. And, when I got kind of pushed out, and I didn't want to come out of the military, and I didn't want to. And it was,
You had some medical issue or something,
so,
or what happened?
I got hurt, and it's like, so they call it med boarded out. And so it depressed me because I thought I was going to have to go back to my small town, and I was going to have to suck it up to the people that didn't really love me. And so in my mind, I'm like, I was done. And so I really did want to check out. And I planned out my whole suicide. I planned it all out. I was so in a bad place, and I went out in my garage, and I literally got in my car, and I'm like, this is it. And I was ready, and I started my car. And the stupidity of it is I sat there, and I sat there, and I sat there, and my Prius clicked over to battery. And nothing happened, and Nancy, I'm so mad. I'm so mad.
No,
So
this is for real.
It's for real. So
no, you were sitting there but you're so despondent. Your frontal lobe's not really online, so you're like, not noticing that you're in battery.
Like, why am I not? And I'm like, I'm
this
not even
real.
getting sleepy. I'm like, I'm so mad. So the Prius came out in '97, and this is 2001, and I was so happy to have a Prius. And anyway, I come in the house that day, and I walk by my ex-wife, and I'm like, she's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm not. And that was the day I took out a piece of paper and I wrote Combat to Comedy on the top of this paper. And underneath it, I wrote the number 300. And I started thinking about life. And I'm like, all right, well, you cannot change your past. You can't predict your future. So you have to figure out how to get through. And I thought, if I can live in 5-minute increments, if I can live in 300 seconds, I'll get through this 5 minutes, I'll get through the next 5 minutes, and the next 5 minutes, and before you know it, tomorrow's here. I lived another day, my demons didn't catch up with me, I win. And so I started just thinking about it.
This is amazing. This all just came to you.
It's
300 seconds, 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
300 seconds,
I'm
5
like,
minutes.
I can do that. So in my mind, I'm like, so I started working on this. Well, I got divorced in 2003. And I'm kind of really hadn't finished what I wanted to do with Combat to Comedy. But when I got remarried, I started thinking about, my comedy was starting to really take off for me. I knew sales. I knew that you don't give them a yes or no, you give them a choice. So I did. This is 2001. I'm like, what do I do? So I got on the phone. I called Huntington, West Virginia, Funny Bone. But I called him and said, hi, my name's Sal Ruggiero. I represent comedian Will C. My client's going to be in your area this week and this week. Which week works best for you? Have to give them a choice,
Brilliant.
Right? They're like, well, this week none of those weeks work, but this week our future ex-wife's having a baby. We're scrambling to find a feature. Can your client come in this week, do 30 minutes a night, $400 for the week? I had 5 minutes of material in it, maybe 5 minutes. So I said, you know what, my client's booked this week, but I have a good rapport with that comedy club. Let me see if I can get him moved out of this club and get a week down the line. Give me 15 minutes, I'll call you back. So I watched the clock. I call him back. I said, I was able to I got a hold of the comedy club. I got a hold of Will C. I tell you what, they're going to give him another week. I'm sending him to the airport right now. Can somebody pick him up? He's on his way to West Virginia. I get there with my 5 minutes of material. Nancy, 5 minutes, maybe. Horrible 5 minutes. First night, I go through the 5 and 2 because I'm so nervous. So now it's improv, but I'm improv trained, which really helps. I went through all that comedy sports stuff, so I'm like, all right, hey, we do a thing called blue shirt. It's a Meisner technique. It's like, and you can take the blue shirt and use all the emotions with it. Blue shirt, blue shirt, blue shirt. So I'm going around the audience basically. So what's up, green shorts? And I'm like, I do this for the whole week. Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. At the end of the week, she hands me the money. She goes, I can't believe I never heard of you. I go, I can't believe you never heard of me either. I walked out and I never looked back.
Wow,
so
this is amazing.
I'm like, I can do this. And so I hit
This is amazing.
I hit the road running.
You're blowing my mind in so many ways.
The comedy club in Kansas City really backed me. Stanford & Sons, they made me their house MC, and I was able to get all the stage time I needed because they liked me.
And this is early 2000s?
So this is now, we're in 2003, 2004, and so I'm like, all right, I'm on the road. I'm a road comic, and things are going great. I'm out there. I got really lucky with the people that took me on the road and kind of taught me. Lisa Lampanelli took me under her wing. I had John DeRisto take me under his wing. And people are they're teaching me
You're learning
what to do. Lisa's teaching me merchandise. Always have money in your hand. If people see money in your hand, they think that you're selling. So they want to be a part of whatever somebody else got. These people want. Have money in your hand. Be a good barker. Blah, blah, blah. She's like, whatever you set the price at, you stick at that. Don't come down. So if you want your t-shirts to be $20, you stay at $20. And so I'm taking this. Well, then Cat Williams has me working. And I'm like, so I'm learning kind of that urban side of comedy too. And I'm like, I'm putting it all together. And I'm learning, well, if you can be funny in the black rooms, you can be funny anywhere. And I'm taking all these notes. And so I start taking, and I make a spreadsheet. Every club I got booked into, I took a note. How hard was it for me to get in this club? How much merchandise did I sell? What did I get paid that week? Did they rebook me before I left? Because so I put together just a ridiculous, of every club I worked, I took notes. And so I still have it. I have what I call my booker list from every club I've ever stepped foot in. I put this together to where I know when I went back, if you sold X amount of dollars last time, take a little more this time, these people are wanting you back. And so I'm a numbers guy, and so I would adjust. And so
That's
the crazy thing is,
amazing.
and I want to go back to this really quick. It's like I was telling you, I'm dyslexic with a reading comprehension problem. Well, it didn't take until
You have such a business mind too.
my
Then.
8th grade, like my junior high English teacher, Mrs. Myers. If I owe anybody, I wish I could find her again and just hug her. She always would say, "What do you want on your epitaph?" That was a big thing that she'd always say that. And she's the one that finally said, I think he's dyslexic. And she started working with me and figuring out that I did have a reading comprehension problem. And so I was always thinking, what do you want on your epitaph? And I didn't want people to come by my tombstone and it just be like, he was. I wanted it to be he is. And there's a big difference between that, because he was means I'm past tense and people will forget you, but he is means people will remember you always because you still are. And so I started thinking about that. And so when I finally got into high school and things were kind of going weird, my guidance counselor always said that I would never amount to anything. She's like, you're dyslexic, you have this reading comprehension problem, you're probably going to be a farmer like your dad, just get prepared for that life. Well, my junior in high school, this Air Force recruiter kept on coming up, and he's like, how would you like to join the United States Air Force? And I'm like, I said, is there a test involved? And he's like, he's like, there's an ASVAB test. I'm like, I'll never pass it. He's like, why? I'm like, I'm dyslexic, I have a reading comprehension problem. He's like, I'll tell you how you take this test. He's like, look, 90% of the answers are C. If it says all the above, it's all the above. He goes, guess on the rest. So I followed that. I aced the ASVAB test. That's why the Air Force took me, which is one of the hardest branches to get in. So the Air Force. So now I'm in the Air Force. Never should have been. First job they give me, pharmacy specialist. I'm dyslexic with a reading comprehension problem. Yeah, you want me to hand out medications? I can't read. I'm like, okay.
You talk about some med errors.
I'm like, but then I was able to cross, and I ended up being a medic, and I look at the different things that I was able to do through the military and taking those life lessons. Even though I had some really traumatic things, I had my battle buddy died in my arms. I'll never get the smell of burnt flesh out from underneath my nose, and it's horrible,
Yeah.
And so, but I take this, and I've always had this mentality back to, he is, and I'm like, okay, all this trauma and all these things and the abuse that you've taken from, even when I was a kid, having things done to a child that shouldn't be happening. I take all these things through these foster homes and the people that hurt me, and even the people that adopted me and hurt me. I'm like, you can't beat me. You cannot destroy me. I'm not going to be an ostrich. I'm not sticking my head in the ground. I'm here. And as long as my voice works, I'm here. My body's, Nancy, I'm beat. I mean,
you showed me that you have this condition. What is the name of it again?
It's called Dercum's disease. And
Dercum's disease. And you have to have lipomas are stuck to your nerve?
My muscle. So
your muscle.
And so my hands will tighten up, and so I can't move them, or my range of motion, so they have to cut them so I can just move like a normal person. They're everywhere. So, and they mirror each other. So if it goes to one leg, it'll go to the other. If it goes to one arm, it'll go to the other. And you can feel.
I see it. I
I
see those.
So it's like,
Man,
so I live with this, and then it's like, I was telling you, we talked at, I did that dry bar, and it's like, what are you going to name your dry bar? And I'm like, my life's a wreck, because I look at it and it has so many different meanings, because not only the car wrecks and things like that, but it's like the things that should take a person down. And I refuse to quit. I cannot accept that. So even like in comedy, I got dared to do comedy. 1995, Comedy Store, January 4th, 1995, I get dared to do it. And
that was your first time on stage?
First time on stage.
Was it the Comedy Store?
In La Jolla. And
wow.
And I have no idea what I'm doing, but I write 3 minutes of horrible jokes. And the next comic coming up, and they kind of slingshot at the store, and so the next comic coming up was Bobby Lee. And Mad TV, the little Asian guy from Mad TV.
Yeah. I kind of forgot who that was.
He's coming up and pretty popular, and he's from Poway, and so he shoulder checks me as we're past, and he just leans in. He's like, "Stick with the Marine Corps. This is not for you." I go, "Okay. You told me I can't do something. I'll see you next week.
That's on.
all you did was drive. I mean, so it's so funny because I finally went.
And that was a gift to you.
It was.
Because double dare, buddy, or just or even just like telling you, like the counselor, hey, don't dare to dream. And that guy tell you can't. Wow, what a
like the dare program to keep the kids off drugs. Dare meant a whole different thing to me. I'm like, dare me, because I'm like,
what a dick move too.
So
because people don't know when you see somebody the first time, you don't know what potential's underneath that very first time on stage, or whatever. Everybody's got a different first time where it's either went really well
we
or
all
just
shine up pretty good, but nobody knows like the beating that somebody's taken underneath. By the so it's like I finally ran it. Bobby, we're friends now. And I remember we were working. I was at the LOL, or I was at the River Center. He was at the LOL in San Antonio, but we were staying at the same hotel because it was owned by the same guy. So he'd put you up at the hotel, and we're sitting out on the patio, and he looks over. He's like, "You don't like me, do you?" I'm like, "Bobby, it's not that I don't like you." And I just reminded him, about that, and he just told me, it stuck with me. He goes, "I'm not in this business to make friends."
Oh.
And I'm like, as harsh as that is, I'm like, it made sense to me. I'm like, you're right, because it's like it's a business, and people forget we are salesmen.
Yeah.
The comedy, the funny, and you're very funny. But you know what? I watch you, Nancy, and it's like you are. That's why I was trying last night. I wasn't trying to like fluff when I was being on stage, but I watch everything. A lot of comics won't stick in the room and watch comics. When you get to the headliner level, they leave the room. But I still am so enthralled by the art of comedy.
Yeah.
And how people move on stage and how they sing their song. And I'm watching you, and I'm like, you're a salesperson. We are salespeople. The funny.
Oh yeah, I always say I have to sell the shit out of my material. But and the things I'm listening to you, and I've been doing this 40 years, and I don't even know how I get by with it, because there's a part of me in total denial that this is a business.
40 years, you say. I'm at 30, and it's almost like we're selling a classic car. I kind of feel, we're classic, and it's like, so our value is more than a new,
I love that you get on stage, and the first night that we worked together, you were saying, listen, I'm going to be honest with you, this is for me. Like, I'm healing my trauma from being in the military, from all the stuff that we didn't even know, all the adoption trauma. But I think it's easier for you to come out as like, I'm a veteran, and I have, because you've had to shoot at people, you've had, take lives, you've had to risk your life.
You raise your hand and you say, I'll defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And it's like, I've done that 3 times, and I mean it. But it's like, when you come out, and like I said, I didn't want to come out. It's very similar to a civilian grieving process. So here's this denial that I'm hurt and Uncle Sam doesn't want me anymore. So now I'm angry, all right? Well, then I start bargaining with him, like, find me another job. Find me something I can do, all right? No? Well, now I'm depressed. So here I'm on this teeter-totter of anger and depression and bargaining, and I'm just here. And I stay there, and I don't know how to do it, and so then I don't know how to communicate with the people that love me and the people that want to help me. Until you get to that level of acceptance where you can say it's okay to not be okay, that's when the healing really starts.
Yeah.
And so I had to take that back to when I was writing that Combat to Comedy, trying to figure out how can I heal through humor. When I get in the dark place, how can I talk myself off a ledge? How can I talk somebody else off a ledge? And I started thinking about when we meet people, it's human nature to put your best foot forward. We want to impress people, so it's like, but how quick are we maybe to tell somebody 5 things about ourselves that we normally wouldn't tell them, and I'm not saying go as dark, but if you're willing to, but the first funny story that comes to your mind, people won't do that because it makes you vulnerable. People don't realize, that's what I was trying to say last night.
Yeah.
When you're on stage, it's amazing, because it's like a public speaker, that's one of the top 10 scariest things you do. That is up there with people that climb high wires and fighter pilots and things like that. So it's scary.
It is the number one fear.
So it's like, okay, so when you're doing that, I'm thinking, okay, I write this whole thing out, and it took me 11 years to write Combat to Comedy. And I shared it with a friend of mine. He's a master sergeant in the Air Force, and I didn't know. I had no idea that Trevor had these connections. And I get an email from the Pentagon, and it's basically saying, we've heard about your Combat to Comedy. We'd like you to present this to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And I get to go and I present this, and General Goldfield, United States Air Force, is like, your program can work. And all of a sudden I'm going to these adaptive care events with the Department of Defense. It's a laugh therapist. Wow. And when I started my company, I have a company called the Veterans of Comedy, and we're all military veterans that are now stand-up comedians. And so my goal was to do kind of what Bob,
I had no idea that you did all that. So you have that right now.
So I do.
You wanted to do what? Who did?
Like Bob Hope. I wanted to go.
Yes, USO tours and.
Because I remember when I was, it's like the people that came and performed,
Yeah.
You felt like you're back home for a minute. I wanted to do that. I never thought that all of a sudden I'd be doing combat to comedy and traveling the world.
And so is this going on right now?
Yeah, my company started in 2014.
How do people find it? What is it? Is it called Combat to Comedy, or what's the website?
Theveteransofcomedy.com.
Theveteransofcomedy.com. And so you're touring with the military, for the military.
Correct.
But also, do you do things outside of the government?
Stateside, like I do my own. I'll book VFWs, American Legions. I try to take it to towns that don't normally have comedy, because my deal is like a lot of times I'm really fixated on, and I know it's a nice campaign, the 22 a day, but suicide in the military is very high, and I'm those numbers have to come down. And a lot of people think, like the VA, it's like, oh, if I put a pamphlet in the lobby, that people are going to grab that and that's going to save their life, or they can call the suicide hotline number. That's not what saves lives. I guess basically being with somebody that understands. I'm not saying that somebody had to have boots on the ground, but somebody that understands the darkness in the military.
Yeah, and that's where that dark humor we were talking about.
I know that I can go dark, but it's like the military teaches you so much to, kill the enemy. The enemy is the monster. That's it's drilled into you. What people don't realize is that monster is who's staring at you in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's not that you want to die. It's not that you want to commit suicide. It's because you came home and your brain hasn't shut down, and the monster's staring at you. And over here's your wife, and over here's your kids, and you're
so programmed.
You were told 6-month deployment that turned into a year deployment, and you haven't. You had a baby while you're gone, and this and that. And you come home, and your brain is still in the shit. And excuse my mouth, but you're still over there. And now you're expected to be a father and a husband and be back in the workforce, and you're still, it's like I'm there.
Yeah.
And so it's like all of a sudden it's like everything's coming at you and you don't know what to do, and the next thing you know, you're tasting the end of your barrel, and it's scary, and it's like because you just want it to stop. You want to be able to close your eyes, and your eyes are still open, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's like it's
you can't shut it down.
You can't.
It's like torture.
So and then
because you're talking like when they talk about torture, where they hold their eyes,
and then
that's a form of like internal
they
torture.
Medicate you so much to where like, okay, this is going to make you go to sleep, this is going to make you wake up, this is going to make you happy, this and that, and it's like I don't want to be that robot. And so for me, I found that okay, you can heal with humor, you can fight fear with funny. So how can I do that? So if I'm in a dark place, I have to figure out, okay, when I've talked to people that are like, they're ready to end it, and I'm like, all right, hey, tell me about a good day. Tell me about, hey, do you remember when you got your driver's license? You remember passing that test? So
trying to just string together some
whether it's pull out your driver's license and have a visual picture or it's a mental picture, I go, hey, you remember what you were wearing that day? Hey, did you have a good hair day? Because you knew you had to get your picture taken for your driver's license. Yeah. And then we start talking about that. Did you lie about your weight? Anything, blah, blah, blah. But now your mind...
Try to get them in, yeah.
But you went away from the dark thing that had you to, you know what, that was kind of funny. I flunked the first time. I had to go back and take it again. But we switched from the, I want to die, to like, hey, remember how it felt when you finally got the hands on the wheel? And you're free.
Yeah,
to
having that tactile memory. Because
yeah.
telling someone not to think about something, it only makes you think about it. But redirecting, it's redirecting, yes. And also to the present moment. I think you alluded to that earlier about not worrying about the past, the future. And I think that's one thing that humor does, is gets us in the present moment, which is one of my pendants that just says, I am in the present moment for now. And I always say, you don't have to do it all the time, just do it for now. And it's always now, of course. But it's like one of those, but easier said than done, to stay in the present moment. So that's one of your tricks, is like, not tricks, but like one of the tools that you use is like anchoring an experience that was positive or funny or normal, kind of typical life experience. So you work with people one-on-one, you do some,
so and then, I have I give my phone number out to anybody, because I have insomnia really bad, and so I'm like, I will talk
you don't want to put it out on, but how should, if people wanted to reach you, should they go through that website?
So you can go to the website, and I have no problem. Send me an email, and I don't even it's comedianwillc@gmail.com.
Comedian Will C. That's WILL.
The letter C.
Letter C.
Or if you're on the Veterans of Comedy website and you just want to email me that way, it's just info@theveteransofcomedy.com. Either way, those emails will come to me. And then if you feel comfortable giving me your phone number and you'd like to talk to me, we absolutely, because I would rather be the person that says we can get through this than have to read about you later that you didn't make it, you know.
This is amazing that you have all this to give, having gone through, like when we just heard your life's, like this is amazing that you're able to share all this, because it's so much, and I know there's so much more, because you're like, you've lived through more car accidents. There's so many. We're gonna have to have you on as like a regular.
It's insane.
So I have to have you back, because there's so much.
I've probably taken all your time.
No, not my time, but we have a, we're doing good. We're doing good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still doing good. We got. If you have a little more time, I want to hear.
I kind of wanted to get to, like, because we're talking about, we both had done the dry bar thing, and it's like, it's a great experience. It's like, but trying to come up with a name for it.
Yeah.
So here's.
My Life's a Wreck is perfect. Mine is called Super Dork.
I know, and I love it. I love it. I got a phone call. I literally had just got out of the hospital in New York after having a widowmaker heart attack 2 years ago.
What?
And so
I hadn't even heard about the heart attack.
So listen to this. So I go to New York because I'm trying to meet with Michael Cox, do the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. I'm trying to find him. I want to go face to face with Michael. We've been talking. I'm like, I do better face to face. So I'm like, all right, April 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2023. I'm going to New York. The week prior, I
love that you're such a hustler.
I
love that you go for it, man. I've been sitting back my whole life, people have to come to me. You know what I mean? You're going after it.
Well, back in the day, Booker said, send me a VHS. I'm like, no, what city are you in? Oh, you're in North Carolina? So I knew I needed to get in with the Comedy Zone. You know what I did? I got in my car. I was told, pick up donuts, pick up a pizza, and go to the office. That's what I did with the Comedy Zone. I'm like, I met Hef and Pace, and I'm like, hey.
God, I'm so lazy.
I'm standing in front of them.
I'm listening to this going, I can't believe
they pull out their calendar and they're like, hey, we can put, and they gave me days. But I'm like, I've always been that guy. So, so as far as like, I guess the hustle of it is, it's crazy. So I go out there. The week prior, I'm in Snowmass, Colorado, and I'm performing for the disabled American vets, their Winter Olympics. They have, so it's like, here's amputees but 600 athletes, and it's like the most amazing, but I'm like, my chest hurt the whole time. But I thought it was a thin air, so I just kind of blew it off. And I'm like, all right. I come back from Snowmass Sunday morning, and I'm packing Sunday night. I'm flying to New York on that Monday. So April 2nd, I'm packing, but my heart, it hurts. So I call my buddy in New York. I'm like, hey, I don't think I should come. I'm like, my chest is hurting, and just big love with New York guy. He's like, stop being a pansy. I'll pick you up at the airport. I got something for you. So I go on. So my buddy John meets me, gives me a ginger ale and a bagel with cream cheese. He's like, slam that ginger ale. I burped the biggest burp ever. Instantly felt better. He's like, I told you. So he's like, let's go. So we're in the Bronx. I'm over here eating chicken parm. I'm over here having greasy pizza. I feel like shit. I'm like, he took me to this place called the Sausage Chandelier Company. Walk in, and there's just sausages hanging from the stand. I'm like doubling. I'm eating everything in sight. And I'm like, I'm leaning up against like, I'm like, I can't, my chest, my heart. That was on Monday. Tuesday, like, I'm trying to find Michael. Like, we finally walked around Manhattan for like, we did 7 miles that day. That night we go to Gallagher Steakhouse. I eat a porterhouse. It was meant for 3 people. I eat it by myself. I don't know what's going on with my life. That night I had the best sleep of my life, Nancy, because I'm dying. I just don't know it. The next day is April 5th. And I'm supposed, my buddy's got a dental appointment at the VA in the Bronx, and he's gonna take me to the airport. I'm supposed to fly to New Orleans and go get on the Carnival of Valor, because I do the cruise ships. And so, I always told, if your chest hurts, you point to it and go in the emergency room. So he goes into his dental appointment, I go to the emergency room, I'm like, ah. So they get me back here, they run an EKG on me, come back, they tell me I'm fine, you're fine. I'm like, I'm fine, praise God, whatever. I sign the paperwork to leave, I stand up in the emergency room, start walking out of the emergency room, I drop and have a widowmaker in the emergency room on April 5th, 2023.
Wait, say that last part again. They told you you're fine, and then?
I signed the paperwork, I'm gonna leave. And I'm like, all right, thank you. I stand up, I start walking out of the emergency room, and I drop, and I have what they call a widowmaker heart attack. My LAD, which is your fourth, it's your main artery, was 99% clogged. They revived me, obviously.
Because you were right there.
They got me
If you had not been right there.
If I had not been there.
You're done.
So they take me to the VA, the Manhattan VA, which is one of the best cardiovascular hospitals in the country.
Wow.
So through my wrist, they put a stent in me. I'm in the hospital for 2 weeks. I'm not trying to get religious with your listeners, but this is a true story.
Do whatever you want, religious, spiritual.
I don't know what it was, but it's my last day in the hospital. And at 7:30 in the morning, this 6'2" Chinese male nurse comes in my room, with the whitest scrub pants I've ever seen. Got this crimson scrub top on. He comes, he's like, "Good morning, Mr. Clifton, how you doing?" He's like, "Can I open your blinds for you?" I'm like, "Sure." He opens the blinds, he turns around to me, he's like, "Hey, let me stand you up really quick. I don't want your hospital gown bunching up on you. I don't want you getting bed sores. Let me flatten you out." So he stands me up, he flattens me out, he sits me back down the bed, and he starts to walk out of the room. And he turns around, he looks at me, he's like, he goes, "Are you okay?" And I guess I had a look on my face. I said, "I'm not okay." And I'm like, "No." I said, "I've been here for 2 weeks. I said, I've had to cancel all these cruise ships, corporate gigs. I had auctions coming up. I said, I'm a public speaker here." I said, I go, "No." And I said, "Now they're telling me I can't even fly for another 2 weeks." I said, "I had to call my agent and cancel more cruise ships." I said, "Another auction." I said, "Buddy, I'm out of so much money." I go, "Your brain probably can't even comprehend the amount of money I'm out of." And the guy's time, he's like, "I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But if I'm hearing you right, what you're saying to me is you're more worried about the money you'd miss than the people that would miss you if you're gone."
Wow.
And it hit me, Nancy. It hit me hard. And I'm like, I said, "How old are you?" And he goes, "I'm 24. I'm like, "Wow." He said, "I have 2 kids your age. They're complete dipshits. I'll trade both of them for one of you." And he walks down the room kind of laughing. At 8:10, the cardiologist come in the room to tell me that I can leave and I'm going to go to my cousin's house in New Jersey for the next 2 weeks. And I'm like, "Hey," around 7:30, there was a 6'2" Chinese male nurse that came in here, white scrub pants, crimson. I said, "Man, that's the best conversation I've had since I've been here. He made me laugh. What a great nurse you guys have here." But I never caught his name. Would you guys relay a message to him and just tell him I said thank you? And they're like, "What are you talking about?" I said, the 6'2" male nurse who was in here this morning. And
I'm getting goosebumps right now. Just so you know, I'm getting the truth chills.
They go, "We don't have any male nurses on this floor."
Okay.
They said, "Alone, our nurses are all color coordinated. Our nurses wear green scrubs." They go, "You're in a double secure room." They said, "You have to sign a log book here. You have to have a badge to get in this room." I know, I get them too. And they said,
We're just having
they go,
truth
"On the other
chills.
side of that glass in your room, that's the nurse's station. We've been monitoring you nonstop for 2 weeks. The only person that came in your room was your night nurse, came in at 6:30 to tell you goodbye and good luck, but you're sleeping, and now we've come in your room at 8:10. I'm like, "Stop messing with me." 6'2", male. They're like, "Sir."
And Asian, like very specific.
And I'm like, and so
You
that's why I
had
said-
specific, like everything.
I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, so my people are like, "Oh, it's the drugs that are giving you whatever." I don't care what it was. I needed to hear that message because I always thought, Nancy, I always thought success was how much money I made. I've always thought that. I've always, because I came up from a poor upbringing, I learned this 10-10 law of accumulation, and I started living my life by that. And basically, the 10-10 law of accumulation says if it doesn't make $1, $100, $1,000, you pay yourself first 10%. That goes in your pocket. That's your spending money. Take 10% and give it away. Whatever. Put it in the bank. Let it accrue interest. Whatever you do, get rid of it. People live within their means. So if 80% is your means, you will learn to live in that. And you'll forget that you have 10% in your pocket. You'll forget that you have 10% in the bank, or that you gave it away. That's a tax write-off. So now your money's working for you. You're not working for your money. And you will live comfortably and always have money. And so I started, all right. But I always thought, I have to have more. I have to have more. People are looking at me. I'm from this small town. People see me on TV. They see me on these movies, and they see me on TV shows, and they live vicariously through me, through the small town I'm from. I'm like, I've got to have the best car. So it's like I buy the most expensive. I have, so it's like that's why I got the nice car, and I've got to have the nice house, and I've got to have everything, and I have to dress a certain way. And I like I was telling you, I can't mix match my clothing. I'm name brand. Everything is name brand, and I'm like, in my mind, because I think everybody, that's how I'm being judged. And I'm like, 2 years ago that changed. I'm like, okay. And when I stopped making money, the focus, more of it has come in than I can even imagine.
Isn't that something?
But I've also, I'm in a situation I can't really, because I got hurt, I can't really talk about that, but it's like everything happens for a reason. And it's like, so I'm here now. I'm not out on the cruise ships. I'm not doing what I was used to doing. I'm here in Branson for a reason. And if that reason was for us to meet and to have this conversation, then that's what was supposed to happen. I'm supposed to be in this moment. Reason, season, lifetime.
Yes.
So our reason is we both have trauma. We have trauma in our life.
Yeah.
Our season is right now. Now, Are we a lifetime? I hope so. I really do hope so.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope that this friendship is something that, can
And that guardian angel that came to you and
I needed it.
put you back on like.
Why did it have
listen,
to be a 6'2" Asian guy?
I don't know.
Could it be like a 5'10" like Swedish woman? Whatever. I'm just saying. But I mean, my point is like.
I'm sure
needed
that your
message.
guardian can be a shapeshifter, but maybe
But
you.
I needed the message.
You would have got distracted by the Swedish girl. You know,
Well, and I know, like,
you wouldn't have been listening.
Right. One of my best friends is a Vietnamese guy.
You'd be motorboating in her chest.
Right. It's funny. And your message was? But I realized like one of my best friends is a Vietnamese guy, and that is his height. And I'm like, maybe subconsciously I had my friend Tony in my mind because, he's always told me that I'm so focused on the dollar. So maybe it was a combination of everything.
It's interesting because even as you were saying some of the stuff earlier, and I thought, I don't know how, but I always get by, and it's not like like my dad would. He grew up very poor, and he wanted me to have security, and so he's always trying to get me to raise my fees and rates and everything, and also like maybe try a little harder because I sleep till noon, as I've already shared with you. Today it was 1 o'clock, so I'm just like, look at this guy's out hustling, and I'm like,
Right,
and I should be working on my set list, and like now we're gonna figure it out, but I am going to definitely call in the higher power, and I do trust that things are working out for their highest good, even if it is for my humility, stay humble, because I do tour a lot, and I am spoiled.
You do.
I'm spoiled right now. Like, I've been really spoiled with audiences in Boulder,
Shaking
and,
up is
talking to
brilliant.
my people, and it's like, Nance, you know what? Let's find that common denominator again, which is what I was trying to do last night, but I did it in not a funny way, like more of a preachy way.
I love when you say you're from Boulder, because I was a Mork and Mindy fan when I was a kid.
Oh, yes.
And so that Boulder was Mork and Mindy.
No, yes.
Yeah,
You'll have to
so
come visit Boulder and go see the Mork and Mindy house.
I wore the rainbow suspenders when I was a kid with my baseball uniform.
Yeah.
I don't have a butt, my pants would fall down. So I'd have to I wore suspenders in baseball, so umpire ball two, I'm like, he's talking about me, right? I don't know, but I'm like, no, it's like I had to like try to, so I'm a huge Mork and Mindy fan.
That's amazing.
So.
Well, I do think I know we're meant to meet, and I love any time during an episode where I call it one of my guests called it the truth chills. And that's when I know that's like, that was definitely a divine intervention, whatever you call it.
We've had weird shows this week, and it's like,
well, I'm a weirdo too, so there's a part of me that's just like, okay.
But I love it. Like I was telling you last night, it's like, I do think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, but I think it's really cool what you're doing here. I was just saying to Jason Lewis, what I really appreciate is this is what we need more of in this country, in the world, is people coming from all walks of life, because this is what you're getting here. You're getting people from all over the country, from all different pay grades,
That's what I liked about the cruise ships. It's the same thing. People from all over the world coming.
Yes, cross-section of America. But here, it's like even more because, some people can't afford a cruise ship. They might be able to drive to Branson, and then there's people here who are super wealthy. So
Yes.
we're getting and then you're getting like really conservative, and then, there was a young man that came up to me Thursday night, which, I'm saying happy Pride. We're kind of the queers, and, we get a little bit of everything, is all I'm saying. So I think it's cool, bringing different people, and I love, like I said, when I saw the cannabis truck out front, I thought, okay, Branson has changed.
So
there's room for everybody.
I love, there's two guys, they come every week, and amazing couple, married, and I love those guys.
Yeah.
And I know in their eyes I'm a bear, and I'm like, I love, and but
Yeah.
I love it. Like, 'cause I never, one of my first friends when I got adopted, nobody really talked to me. I was this new kid, and so my friend Jay was different, and Jay's gay, but when we were kids back in 1975, we didn't know.
Right.
And so I just knew, like, Jay's mom was my Cub Scout leader.
Yeah.
We all went to J.C. Penney's and got our Cub Scout outfit.
Yeah.
Jay's mom made his. He wore culottes. We had like our wolf slide for your scarf. You know.
Yeah.
Well, he wore his grandma's brooch.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Are you teasing?
Oh, I wish I was making it. He did
That is so cool.
He just did whatever he wanted, and it's like
and he had support from his family.
But I was like,
that's rare in that time.
I hate bowling.
Yeah.
And so
do too.
to this day, we have like, if he tells me that he's in trouble, I am on a plane to San Francisco in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just who I am, and we've stayed that. I've always wanted to protect him, but it's like, I grew up with that. It was funny, like as we were kids, I joke about it because like Jay I'd stay all night with him, because they were very, very wealthy and I was very poor. His grandfather invented this coil that goes in the air conditioning. And so his family, they're very, very, very rich.
Wow.
And because we lived in the country, they had the massive ranch house. And so he hated going to school. So he eventually went to private schools as he got older, but we stayed friends. And so
Because he was bullied at school?
Because he's like...
Yeah, because he was effeminate. And
so
then
when he finally went to the right schools, he was okay, but in my country school, they couldn't
they pick
accept
on
it.
anything that's different.
All the people.
Are you like me? Are you a bully to the bullies? I'm a little bit of a bully to the bullies, which I
can't
guess
stand
makes
it.
me a bully.
I'll beat I literally beat the crap out of bullies before. So I mean, I had, when I was a senior, there was this kid freshman. It doesn't matter, but he always got picked on, and we had choir class after lunch, and he'd always come in crying that this guy was taking his lunch money, kind of thing. And so I just asked the guy, I'm like, can I use the restroom? And so I knew that guy had study hall. I walked in the library. He's one of those wall rats, so he had the jean jacket with the... He had like the jean jacket where they put like the Megadeth or whatever. He's had it sewn on the back of it. So, hey, can I see you out in the hall real quick? Yeah. And he comes out. So I take that jean jacket, I pull it over his head, and I'm bouncing him off the lockers, and I just beat the crap. And I'm like, I've just always been that guy. I cannot stand it.
Did not steal any more of that lunch. He didn't take any more lunch money, did he?
No. And Tim never got bullied again.
Yeah.
But I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I just don't understand the meanness. The kid that bullied me, I don't understand why I had to get off the school bus, and he would knock my books out, he would punch me, he'd beat me, and that's what my dad finally had enough. He's like, get in the car, and my dad, so we're going down to Chun-Li's and started taking martial arts, but it's like, I just feel like I want to protect, and my point to that is like...
Yeah, and that's why you were in 3 branches of the military, too, because you want to protect.
I just like, I don't...
Yeah.
People's sexuality, I don't...
Dad,
why can't people just love and be who they want to be and love,
Yeah. But I think it's really cool what you're doing here, and some folks are coming into the comedy club, and they're taking care of some HVAC or some business or something. But I know we need to wrap it up. But I just wanted to say that it's okay. I think it's like it makes it realistic, but you might want to lean into the microphone just a little bit. So I just want to. I mean, the fact that you haven't self-imploded, or I'm just so impressed that you've turned things into a positive. That's one thing I say about traumedy is it's transmute trauma. So it's instead of taking it, because sometimes, kick the dog syndrome, or you could have become, the bully, but you were like I said, I was like, I'm a bully to the bullies. I'm like Toto from Wizard of Oz, like I'm gentle with gentle people.
Right.
But I have a lot of growth yet to do. But I want to, man, thank you for...
Thanks for having me on here.
I just wanted to give a shout out to what you're doing here. Just, because here we are in Branson Comedy Factory in Branson Column. And tonight I'm going to go watch the psychedelic, go watch the Pink Floyd. Oh, gosh.
Hey, guys. So
they're having a good time.
Yeah, that's fun.
We harshed their buzz. But so tonight, you had a big show last night, and tonight it's so cool, this Pink Floyd experience. It's like,
it's awesome.
It's going to be cool. We're going to have an interesting group come in after that.
They all roll over to the comedy club afterwards.
Because we'll have fun with them. Well, thank you. We'll see everybody.
Thanks for
Reach
having
out
me.
to We'll See on the website.
You can go to theveteransofcomedy.com. You can also check me out at willsee.net. All the handles are out there. So The Real Will See or McRibs for Life. So,
McRibs for Life.
So that's kind of my thing. So find me. And if I'm in your town, if I'm in your city, or if you're in Branson, come out here to the columns, come out to the Branson Comedy Factory, see a show. Every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
And if you're struggling, you know who to reach out to.
Reach out to me.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank my guest, Will See. There'll be a link to all of the websites, Veterans of Comedy. And remember, if you know anyone who could benefit from hearing this episode, please share it with a friend who may need to know they are not alone and they too can get through stuff. I'd like to thank my son, Nathaniel Norton, for this music loop, and thank you, the listener, for being on this co-healing journey. And remember, no matter what, keep laughing.